got the brief, and well, it's an interesting one because I was trying to think what kind of project or what kind of building would I like to really see, in the sense that I suppose you get so many competitions around the world and they're for big buildings and they're complex briefs and everything, but so often it's the small beautiful thing that takes the most amount of soul and thought to actually create something special. So that's what this one's about. It's a relatively, it could be a relatively small building. As you know, the size is between 80 and 240 square meters. So 80 square meters is most probably 3 times the space or something like that. So it's quite small if you want to go small. And we're not encouraging you to necessarily go big. It's just got to be exceptionally special. Now again, I was thinking, should I bring some images and show you guys? And then I thought, no, I'm not going to, because this is one of those kind of competitions where I don't want you to leave here and say, oh, he showed this building, and yeah, okay, that's what is in his mind, because I don't actually know what the winning submission is or the best group of work's going to be, because I don't actually even know yet what can be created. I've just created the seed, and now I want to see, is it going to be a baobab tree? Is it going to be a beanstalk thing, or whatever it is? It's something magical is going to happen, and that's going to happen between now and when you guys present. So, but to go back a little bit to the beginning. So there's this very beautiful book which has sat next to my bed for about 10 years, and every once in a while I read a little bit about it. And coincidentally, I just read it again about a month before Caesarstone asked me to do this. And it's that, I don't know how you actually say his name, Juhani. If somebody's from Finland, yeah, they can maybe explain how, but it's, I think, Juhani Palasma, and it's the book Eyes of the Skin. So it's not a very thick book. It's quite a thin book. I'm sure you can order it through Amazon, and you can download it and read it over one weekend. So if you can do that, hopefully I'm going to get some kind of commission on all the sales of books that he'll suddenly, in fact, I'm sure when he's looking at the graph, it's like his sales have been like this, and suddenly in South Africa, it will shoot up. But no, if you can read it, because it's one of these interesting books, and there's even this one little line in it, and he talks about the senses. And he even talks about the taste of a building. And I'm like, just, oh, that's a bit weird. Okay, I don't know what this guy's smoking, but let me read that part. And in it, he mentioned something about, you know, if you lick a stone building, you can feel that texture on your tongue. Okay, so guys, you're allowed to lick buildings, hug them, dance in them, do whatever you want. Okay, but this is what this little competition's about. It's like, I just want to imagine or see what you imagine a building can do with you. So it's your engagement with a building, and do something that kind of, when you're down, let's say, this is the building that you go to and it lifts you. When you're stressed, this is the space that you go to and it transforms something. So I'm not necessarily as interested. Okay, I've got to be very careful here. Yes, of course we're interested in the form, because I suppose all buildings are tangible in some way. But it's really, how can you experience a building more than just through the eye? In fact, again, there's a comment in the book, and there's so many amazing little things in this book. And Jules, that on a Friday evening when you're at dinner with your friends and you really want to outsmart them intellectually, there'll be lots of little lines there that you can throw up, and they'll go, oh, wow, wow. Again, one of them is that the scent is a more powerful organ than even the eye, because the eye you see and everything, whatever it is. But it's amazing, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, and I have this one weird little experience which is amazing. I think it was Sabi in those days, or maybe grade, I don't know, it's a grade 1 or something like that, but like really grade R or something like that. And a friend of mine gave me this little Chinese pencil. Now this is in the kind of was probably late 60s or early 70s or something like that. Let's say late 70s, early 70s. There's a little pencil, and it had this little bright orange rubber on it. And I just remember this pencil had the most incredible smell. I mean, these days you get tons of it, but that was the first time ever I experienced an object being so seductive because of the smell. Okay, so it just shows you, and in fact in this book it says that the olfactory senses are more powerful than the visual. You will remember a smell and think of good and bad smells. Sometimes something has happened, or you've, whatever it is, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But that smell, you will experience it again, whatever, 20 years later, and your brain will go straight to this little, something recorded image of you seeing or experiencing something. So it's amazing how there are aspects in our minds and our bodies that we don't tap into often enough, because everything right now is so overloaded from a visual point of view. If you look at kids today, they have to be entertained. They don't easily go into whatever the garden or into the bush or whatever it is and create their own entertainment. It's like, you know, it's like, I'm bored. Okay, oh, it's just, okay, I know what that means. So can I put the TV on? It's like, no, you can't. Because, you know, so again, this is part of that whole mindset. Now, I was going to say, okay, hands up whoever's taking Xanax and Ritalin, but I won't. Okay. And I don't either, by the way. In fact, somebody in the office wrote that line for me, and I thought, just that's controversial. I don't think I can be associated with that. But she said, no. Do you know, it's like, it again just explains the fact that we always want a quick solution. We want to quickly find a little bottle and pop it open and take a little thing, as opposed to going back to where the problem, the source of the problem is. And actually questioning, you know, maybe I'm partying too much. Maybe I'm working too hard. Okay, it could be that one as well. Maybe I'm just imbalanced because I'm just making life a misery for myself. Whereas if I just quietened down and I created a wonderful environment, I wouldn't have to rely on pills and things like that. So I said to her, okay, Shitty, I'll include that in the text, so, because I'm sure people relate to it. But I'm just going to stress, just focus on a couple of little points that are here. Okay, so again, a connection to Mother Nature, because as futuristic as we all think we're going, in fact, again, going back to the 60s, and I'm sure you've seen all these images of in 2015, we would be wearing these skin-tight body suits. We'd be taking like one pill a day, and the air would be thin, and we'd be living in these glass bubbles and that. The truth is, it hasn't happened, and it probably won't ever happen, and we'll always still want our real fire with a marshmallow, and so very few things in life really change. It's and the earth, no matter how much we damage it, will always win in the end. Okay, even if it wins in the end because we've caused it to destroy us, it will always win. So this is a case of listening to Mother Nature and to the earth, and letting the earth actually talk back to us and see how we can engage with it. So, okay, so just again coming back a little bit to the brief, some of the elements that I think you must consider. Of course, light is incredibly important, light and shadow, because you can play with light. It's not just about floods of light, it's how you manage it, and you create qualities of spaces, because sometimes you want to create spaces that are very dark and very private, and then other times you want to come out. It's almost like sometimes when you have a finish, again, I'm glad I'm like connecting it to this, but when I was in Finland a while ago, and you go into their bathhouses, and don't forget in those days the bathhouse was this little wooden box building in the garden, and that's where you'd do all your cleaning, because nothing would be done in the house. So the whole family would go there, and of course typical Northern European style, you all sit naked there with your friends and everything, and you wash and all that kind of stuff. Not quite that way, but and then of course what you do straight after that, you jump straight into this freezing sea, because that reinvigorates you. So, you know, sometimes you need those contrasts. It's not just the easygoing life and everything smooth and cool or whatever it is, and get your Woolies microwave thing and You know, go kill a chicken. Oh, that sounds awful. Go kill a chicken. And in fact, coming back when I was 10 years old, whatever, we went to a farm in Europe, and the granny, we're playing with these chickens. Next minute she comes, rushes out, grabs this one chicken, twists its neck around. It jumped out of her hands, and there's this chicken running with his head flopping around. Oh, God. And then like an hour later, there was a chicken on the table. Anyway, I didn't eat that day. So, but that's real life. I mean, it doesn't come. I keep on telling our kids, guys, you know, it doesn't get born in a Woolworths little plastic container. You know, it has to live. And anyway, I'm definitely moving to become a vegetarian. Okay, so elements like water, of course, air. And air can be in many ways. You can capture air and funnel it through, so you could stand in a position and just get air blowing over you. Because when it blows, for example, you know, there are two distinctive groups, species on this planet. There are all of us, and then there are kite surfers. Okay, so when it blows, we all pissed off, and they're the only people that like, wow, this is cool. In fact, we had a client recently, we're doing a house in Bloberg, and this client came to a very, very wealthy guy, and he said, I bought the best site in Cape Town. And I'm like, wow, where? Bloberg. I'm like, sure, I was expecting Clifton or something like that. Bloberg, okay. And he's a foreigner. So I said, sure, did anybody tell you about the wind? So he said, yeah. Like, just, and you still bought it. Said, yeah, no, I'm a huge kite surfer. It's like, that's why it's the best site in the world. It's like, absolutely, 100%. I mean, what does he want to live in a wind-free area for? So that just shows you, we all have different things that impact on us in different ways. Color influences us as well. Like all designers wear black. Okay, well, mainly something like that, not quite. Okay, clutter and chaos. We totally overloaded with things all the time. There comes a point, I think you're still going through that stage in your lives where you want clutter and chaos. But there comes a point in your life like where I'm getting to that stage now where I just want, I don't want noise anymore. I just want the essence of things. Hopefully I'll still go back to wanting clutter again and chaos. Okay, things like primal and tactile. Okay, those are interesting challenges because now you've got to use Caesarstone as a product. And that's why it was an interesting comment earlier on about, like, in my mind, and I'm sure a lot of people's minds, you always think Caesarstone, oh, that's a kitchen top. But now maybe it could be used in a different way. Maybe it could be treated in a different way. Maybe it is a different product, like these kind of products here. So again, there could be a lovely contrast between using Caesarstone as a very engineered finish against a very raw, primal, natural finish. So again, it's those kind of contrasts that are going to be interesting to see how you guys handle that. Then, for example, okay, so then just to give you a couple of clues as to what kind of function this building could have, because on the one hand, it doesn't need any function. On the other hand, the use of it or the function thereof can inform the kind of building it is. So one of the ones I talked about was bathhouses. And like if you take Roman days, you know, the bathhouse was a great progress because, I don't know, the barbarians before that wouldn't wash for months at a time, and they'd pick the lice out of their hair and eat it most probably or something like that. You know, now you had progress. Now you had a row of little holes on could have been a Caesarstone bench, and they had a little hole, and you sat next to Caesar or whatever, and you do your job there, and you chat and whatever, pull your scroll out and chat about the day's events while you go do your business. Okay, but on a more spiritual level, you know, it was really about cleansing the body and the mind, and therefore water was a very important thing. Actually, I think that I'm on a roll telling you all these stupid little stories. They're like, as I say that, ping, like a little thing comes to mind. And I was in this bathhouse in this basement in New York many, many years ago, and there were these, is it ascetic rabbis, the guys with the curls, yeah, Cetic rabbis. They were there, about 5 of them. And it's like right in this dungeon underground and then 3 or 4 stories below. And it's all steaming and water pouring everywhere. It's like totally like in the catacombs or something like that. And they were taking turns where the one would lie down on this marble slab, but it could easily have been Caesarstone. Okay, and the other guys, it's all wet, like pouring, dripping, whatever. They took these towels, wet towels, and they would wring them up, and they would like whip the guy that's there. So like 4 guys would whip him, and then they'd take turns with the next guy. So, and it was just part of the whole experience to just like feel, I don't know, the tingle of your body, just getting the sensation of getting whipped or something like that. But I didn't volunteer. I was a bit too scared. Okay, good. So just to read a couple of words here, you can allow for a relaxing or a reinvigorating experience. You can encourage meditative, transcendent, and reflective experiences. So try to, and I know it's difficult because how can you, without using banned substances, get your mind to elevate to another level? Now, if you can pull that off, I think you've got a good chance of winning this competition. No, but seriously, how can you get your mind? I mean, there's some days that are just so beautiful and so sunny and so still and whatever it is, that your whole body just tingles. So now, can't we get buildings to do that? Okay. As it says here, the space can be anywhere. Can be in the middle of town. It could be in the middle of Tokyo, for that matter, which is chaotic. It could be in the middle of Cape Town. It could be in the middle of the veld somewhere. It could be on the top of the mountain. Kind of surprise us. Okay, and then also, as I said, yeah, you decide what it is, what the experience is, because it is about experience as well as what it looks like. We said the minimal requirement is a private toilet, because you don't want to have to sit there and you want to pee or something and it's like, oh, you know, I've got to get my car and I've got to whatever. You know, you want to be able to maybe stay there for an hour, a few hours, a few days or something. So if you have to spend, or you want to spend a few days there, you need somewhere to sleep, to lie. You might want to be on your own. You might want to bring friends. It's all part of the story. Okay. So I think, and then I just said there, close your eyes and imagine. So definitely at some point in this whole experience, you must take a big magnum bottle of red wine or something like that, and just let your subconscious talk to you. Because, actually, I've got last little story for the day. I went to this guy, my one partner is like an absolute realist. You know, if there's anybody who that cuts the bullshit out of anything, Flip is the guy that is like that. And you know, one morning we were just chatting and he said, I saw my guru yesterday and sure, you know, life's good. I'm like, huh, Philip? Which sounds a bit strange. Guru, kind of you like all in this good mood and everything. So he said, no, he, like somebody recommended because he injured his back many years ago. So he's has to have physio on his back and things like this. And anyway, so this guy, I'm not going to get all of this wrong, but he's, okay, he's an overseas guy, I think Australian guy, but he deals with very, very top athletes. These are like the superstars of the world. And you'll get 2 guys, exact same build, same stamina, same whatever. And the one guy performs super high and the other guy performs here. And there's a sports science institute here in Newland somewhere. Tim Noakes is one of the people that, and I'm sure if Tim was here, he'd be kicking me and saying rubbish or something like that, but maybe not. But this is what the guy said to me. And in America especially, they've been doing a lot of research into trying to figure out how come some people just perform so much better, but their physical attributes are all the same. And it really comes down to mental state of mind and even more so your subconscious. Okay, so even when I see that little sign there that says believe in yourself, okay, you got to convince your subconscious, and your subconscious has to believe you, because Your conscious can be telling you all the time, oh, believe in yourself, you're really smart, you're really good, whatever it is. But your subconscious will be telling you, oh, don't talk rubbish, you're actually stupid, this, whatever it is. So you need to get the subconscious, because when the two start working well together. So I thought, now I've got to go see this guy. So I go there, and he says, okay, put your arm out. And he goes like this. And he says, you are a pessimist. And I hold my hand there. So you are optimist. And it just drops or something. And he just like proved to me, I was sure there was something in the way he was poking my hand. He was pushing some nerve, but I don't know, I was a little bit skeptical. But then okay, so and so he says to me, after like about 10 of these things, he says, okay, so you're a kind of person, you have such a realist that you expect something's going to be wrong. Okay, so you like brace yourself, expecting. Like if somebody gives you a compliment, you're like, why are they giving me this compliment? Instead of, oh, thank you, it's so sweet of you. Like, always cautious. So he said, what we're going to do, we're going to change you from a person who says the glass is half empty to a person that says the glass is half full and it's actually more than enough and whatever it is. Then it brings his little iPad, and there's this strange little kind of shapes going on the screen and whatever. And then I had to take my finger, and then I had to go do something like that, or a star or a triangle, something like that, and then hold a glass of water, and then with a stone it went ping. He said, okay, you're cured. And I'm like, okay, seriously. And I must say, quite bizarre, Philip is totally convinced about this. I'm a lot more skeptical, but surprisingly, a lot of things that used to annoy me prior to doing this somehow don't annoy me as much anymore. So, but his whole focus was, you need to realign your subconscious to become positive. Because don't forget, I used to always say this, if you've got a problem that you've got to resolve, don't wake up in the morning and start trying to resolve it. Okay? Think about it the night before, read it or something, and go to sleep. Just forget about it, just go to sleep. Your subconscious carries on working. And you never know, you might wake up in the morning and like there's a little bit of an idea that's starting to sprout. Okay, so we mustn't underestimate how powerful we are, but of course you got to feed it and guide it well so that it can do something for you that you never expected. Okay, so that's I think the last story of the day. Other than, let me just quickly just say last thing. Advice to the entrance. It is on your document, and this is very important because that's all there, so I don't think anything I'm going to say anything more than here. Something very, very important. When you present things like this, okay, if you have the best idea in the world, but you present it badly, you've got a small chance of winning, okay? If you have an average idea, but you present it superbly, you've got a better chance. Okay, so really presentation is very important. And one of the things that we've always whinged about is that don't forget, we've got one day to judge, and you have, I don't know how many, it's like 40, 60, how many? About 70. Yeah, 70. So you've got 70 entries, and they each come with, what's it, 2 sheets? 3 sheets, is it? I think it's 3 sheets. Is it 2 or 3? Let's just quickly confirm it. 3. No, 3 A2 sheets. So everybody comes with 3 A2 sheets. So suddenly now you have 200 and whatever, 210 or even more sheets that you have to look at. So it's a total overload for us. So you don't have time to read whole long texts. Okay, 100% don't write texts, because the truth is, in virtually any competition, that text is not read. It's got to be bullets. You've got to say something very succinctly, to the point, and it's got to be, I'm always trying to find a better word, pregnant, because pregnant with ideas is kind of, okay, it's got to be loaded with things. So you've got to choose your words correctly. So, because if we read 3 or 4 words, and they superbly chosen words, they promote ideas in our minds that suddenly we now start following a deeper thought that's in your mind. So I'm going to quickly just read these because I think these are important. The presentation of submission should reflect the brief. So absolutely understand what the brief is trying to question you and reflect that. Get your message across graphically. So it's much more about the visual connection. Avoid too much text, okay? And when you do use text, keep it to bullet points so that you can access it very quickly. If, like everything that you give, if the first impression catches you, you then start landing up wanting to know more. So you can have a head bullet, and then if you want to, you could maybe have a little subtext explaining it a little bit further. Okay, but you've got to try and engage the judge, because it's kind of a game you're playing now. It's not just, oh, I did my work and then I put it up there. It's, I did my work and now I have to seduce the judge or the judges into seeing what I've come up with. Okay, life is like that. So the quicker you realize everything in life is how you get your message across. Emphasize your key points. Judges need to understand your thought process. Try to get that thought process out. Don't overcrowd or clutter. Very important. Provide plans, one section, one elevation. Conceptual sketches. Look, I'm not a great, even though I think the art of drawing is being lost, I don't give bonus points to freehand drawings. Okay, because you could be, you could, like one of my partners is a brilliant designer, but he doesn't do anything by hand reading. He does it all through the computer because that's how he's not got used to doing it now. So it's fine. But we want to see a little bit of the thought of how the original ideas evolved. But don't overdo it. It's just as a little bit of extra layer. The graphic narrative, the 3Ds, okay? And then we just put this point here, keep in mind it's not a council submission, because again, some of the entries were like section, plan, elevation, whatever. It's not. If you look at some of the winning submissions, it's how they're arranged. All of those components graphically on a sheet or on 3 sheets that looked amazing. Okay? Keep graphics simple, clean, and neat by distilling the essence of your design. And again, if you take the brief is not about chaos. You know, if you're doing a nightclub or something in Tokyo, of course the graphics must be wild and whatever. Here it's all about the essence. So if your graphics are messy, you've kind of missed what the brief was trying to say. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Hopefully I haven't confused you. Hopefully I've helped to distill your minds a little bit and to guide them. And look forward to seeing some fantastic submissions. So enjoy it, go for it, and just dream it and live it.
We have things that are, it's not physically, can they be quite conceptual versus physically can be built structurally possible, whether it's engineering. A lot of engineering would have to go into it, or can we just focus mainly on the concept and the idea? Yeah, look,
I'd say it needs to try and be as real as possible. I don't think we're going to judge is the engineering correct enough or something like that. But you know, I wouldn't feel that if you created something that just floats in space, I mean, that's not really real. Yeah. You know, as much as we'd like that to be possible. You know, it's not something, because I'm hoping that ideas will come out of this that will start influencing our work, for example, because I'll look at this and say, wow, what a great way of connecting the soul and the spirit and the whatever into buildings. So I think it's got to have a certain real factor to it, yeah. But you're in the right direction. Don't become over real. We don't have to worry about plumbing pipes and expansion joints and stuff like that. Just, yeah.
Do you think that you should base this more on like what you feel personally, or about what other people might feel? Like, what if I find looking at the sky really, really relaxing? Should I think of if other people would think that as well?
Look, it's an interesting comment because do you create things through yourself or do you create things in a very objective position for others? So I think that's more you. Okay, so if you feel it's stronger to design for yourself through yourself, then take that direction. Okay, but again, don't forget that because you're not only doing it solely for yourself, you have to engage with the judges. Okay, because the judges have to understand and see the strength in your thoughts. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. But again, you know, it's like if you take singers, songwriters, like you'll get a lot of commercial songwriters or singers who will sing what is popular. So if you take Idols and all of those kind of programs, when they write songs, they're writing commercial songs and they know what sells and they understand the kind of lyrics and the melodies and whatever. But if you take other great songwriters, they never write even keeping that in mind. They write from inside, and what comes out is that's why it's more unique. But ultimately in a competition, you can't say which one's going to win because you still have to engage with an audience, and the audience are those judges.
I see it says anywhere. Is it in the world, or do you want it anywhere in South Africa?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Cool.
That's why I even mentioned Tokyo. It could be Tokyo. Yes. At the same time, probably if you took Joburg, it's got a little bit more credibility because kind of we would like to see situations that you're more familiar with. So probably Cape Town first, but if you're in Joburg is the city that you'd like to engage with, the issues and the challenges that are really there. But ultimately it can be anywhere. I mean, you might have this favorite place that you've been to or you've imagined in the world. And you somehow want to capture that in it. So yeah, it's fine. Okay. Yeah. Again, I very often feel that sometimes you need more real challenges or tangible challenges, because sometimes if a person has a totally open sight, it's sometimes more difficult to design something than if you have constraints, because suddenly those constraints inform you. Whereas if you've got nothing, you almost have nothing to start with. So then you've got to start creating these issues that you can engage with.
Is sustainable, eco-friendly design a big part of the competition, or is it not really focused?
Yes, actually it's interesting that we didn't mention that at all, but it would be. I think it's implied by, if you read between all the lines, it's not something that's totally foreign and aggressive. It's very much part, that's why I suppose with the opening line talks about Mother Nature. So it is. But don't start putting on wind turbines and all the kind of gimmicky things that like overt sustainable buildings have. It should coexist, but it shouldn't over-influence. I'm sure you're going to have tons and tons of other questions along the way. You're not allowed to phone me. Okay. No, but you must chat between yourselves, and you must let this be an interesting experience where hopefully some of you are going to read the book. Okay, because if I even achieve a handful of people reading the book, that'll be a little achievement on its own. But actually just talk about these things, because these are lacquer things to talk about rather than Kim Kardashian and other people like that. Okay. In fact, let me say this thing, because this is a great, great one. In a little shop in Franschhoek, where they sell all these kind of schmaltzy nice things or whatever, there was this little cover of a pad. And I'm not going to say it properly, but it was something like this. It said, "Great minds talk about ideas. Mediocre minds talk about events. Small minds talk about people." Okay, and that was great because it's about ideas, and that's what this is. Okay? So there's a lot of talking here, guys, over wine, over whatever.
Any more questions?
questions.
And just have fun. I think that's the most important thing. Because there's only going to be one winner, but hopefully there'll be a lot of people that gain a lot of enjoyment through this process. So on the one hand, I'm almost to say don't do this with the object of winning, okay? Because I think the winning will be coincidental. It's like do it with the object of creating something that is magical. And if it's understood by the judges, because I'd hate it to be that somebody pokes me on the shoulder like 6 months later and said, did you really understand what I meant? And it's like, okay, why? What did I not understand? And then they told me, and it's like, oh, Charles, that would have been incredible. Why didn't you get the message across? Okay, so get the great idea, get the message across, and then hold thumbs. All the best. Go for it, guys. Have fun.